how are you? It's Monica Plemikos here, and we are today, I'm very excited today because not only have I got a day off, yay me, but also so today we're going to bring you an interview with Scott Lawrence, and this is in response to a poll that I did earlier on. Hi Nikki, thanks for coming. So today's interview is with Scott Lawrence, and we're interviewing him today because of a recent poll that I did in this group, which highlighted and showed and demonstrated the need for more marketing. Hi Nikki. Yeah, so this is in response to what you guys have showed an interest in and have wanted to learn more about, and so hopefully I can also, hi Kimberly, thanks for watching. So hopefully over the next coming weeks and months I can further assist with connecting you all. Hey Scott, and bring you that information that you want. So all I have to know is what is it that you want to know more about, and I'll do my best to source that information for all of us here. Hi Jacqueline, thank you so much for watching. So today is going to be a really good content rich interview with some practical strategies and takeaways for you to implement hopefully in your own business and your own practice. And we're also talking to someone who is also a therapist themselves, right? So you can directly apply some of these strategies and yourself, and so it's one of our own, right? So I'm going to just jump straight in and try and bring Scott on. Let me see if I can do this. I'm still working out this whole Facebook thing, so just bear with me a second. So Scott, I don't have you as a viewer at the moment. So hopefully, I'll just keep trying, shall I? So I can only invite people to watch. Oh dear. Just bear with me, guys. I'll keep trying. Any suggestions? Be warmly welcomed. Thank you. Thanks, Scott. All right. Can't bring Scott on camera. Why? All right, here. It's working. Yay. So while Scott's coming on board, let me just tell you a little bit more about Scott, so you have an understanding of his background and expertise. So Scott, welcome. Hey. Scott. I'm just about to introduce you and welcome you. So Scott Lawrence is a clinical hypnotherapist. And he's also a business coach from Lawrence Hypnotherapy. So you may have seen Scott on TV. So he was on the Hamish and Andy show. Awesome. And he's the former lecturer at the Academy of Hypnotic Science. So the reason why, part of the reason why bringing Scott on, because he has experience with seeing a high number of clients. So he's got experience with seeing 40 clients a week, and running workshops and also creating marketing for this industry. So marketing funnels that earn over 100K a year. So this is definitely the man that we want to be speaking to, because he now teaches other therapists how to build online funnels and how to actually unpack what problem they solve and what framework to use to actually help attract clients and making you the best choice to fix their problems using hypnotherapy. So welcome and thank you for being here. And we're all going to be listening with open ears. So welcome.
Hey, Monica. So thanks for having me on. And I think we've met, once at a network events, and
Yes.
it's really cool. Like what happens, like, when you get out there and you talk and you kind of, even as an introvert, just like, shake hands, just like say hi to people and just sort of see what happens.
Exactly.
And yeah, like, I mean, it's a good thing to do. And I think that what I'm sort of seeing in the market is because like when I started, I was seeing like, 40 clients a week in my first 6 months. And then I became a lecturer at the Academy of Hypnotic Science. And so like everything just sort of like running so smoothly. But then it's kind of interesting, like in the hypnotherapy industry, what I find sometimes is that like we join the industry because we need to heal ourselves, as well as like wanting to help others. But when trying to get clients, sometimes we need to do a little bit of like the healing stuff for ourselves, just to change like the words we're saying in our head.
Yeah.
Because I would hear some students, they would always say that like the industry's dead or that nobody has any money. And they just keep saying those things. And you're like, well, what are you telling the subconscious? Like it's kind of,
Rubbish.
it's sort of funny. Yeah, pretty much. It's the garbage in, garbage out. And so I found I always got my best results when I was having fun doing things.
Yeah,
But
cool.
you need that, you need the intellectual side, but not as much as what people might think. Like you want to be articulate, you want to be able to like talk about what you do. But here's how I see a lot of hypnotherapists like say that here's a problem. They want to get clients, they want to get like, 20 a week or something. And they go out there and they say like, well, I've studied hypnosis and NLP and massage and kinesiology, and
The
I'm the first
modality.
one on the planet to put everything together. Yeah. And they start pushing and promoting those and then saying, everybody out there is broke as anything. And like there's the industry's dead and no one wants help or people aren't ready for change. And it's kind of weird that none of that is true. People are ready for change. They're ready to come. They're coming to somebody. It's just that not to someone who doesn't make any sense. And so the first two things that you seem to need to make a funnel, besides like a computer or something, is a problem and a framework, or a
So
problem and a
before, so
solution. And this goes to,
sorry to cut you
yep,
off. Before we get into that, can we hear a little bit more about you and how you actually got into hypnotherapy? What drew you to that? Because you did mention
yeah,
earlier that we're drawn to this helping profession because there is some element of us wanting to help ourselves, and I think for me it was wanting to help my
mm,
family. So tell us a
yeah,
little bit more
absolutely.
about you and your story. What brought you to in that industry of clinical hypnotherapy?
Yeah. Well, like when I was a kid and I saw hypnosis on TV, I thought it was cool. And that was like my first introduction to it. I'm like, what is that? I just have to get into psychology. And the more that I kind of kept hearing people talk about the world and talk about problems, the more I became convinced that psychology is really the answer to all of life's problems, because it seems to.
Mm.
And sorry, my phone's doing some stuff. So growing up like in a family like where there'd be negative self-talk, like we all have that, like we all have a mum and a dad, and they're
Yeah.
always like, whether it's cleaning the house going, I've got to clean the house now, or if it's like about money, it was always like, money's hard or something. It's always it's like that's like the first syllable of every sentence.
Right.
And it's kind of weird, like I would actually feel physical pain in my body every time they did it, and not understanding it, not making this connection between that syllable and the feeling in the body. And then, oh, sorry. Yeah, so when I actually got to study at the Academy of Hypnotic Science, I found out more about myself and about how I was focusing, and the words I was using. I didn't particularly have like a lot of friends in school, but what I found, like this is something that's really changed something for me. It's like that I went from one school not being popular to another school not being popular, and I'm like, maybe it's just me. But what I was doing is I was sharing my story forward, and like I was telling people at the new school that I wasn't popular at the old school, and they've gone like, "Oh, so you must not be the popular kid then." And I
Right.
had no idea. I had no idea that everybody else has doubts, everybody else has anxiety, everybody else has skin conditions, everybody else has speech impediments, everybody can only breathe through one nostril. Everybody's weird. And so it's like there's nothing about you in particular that means that you can't have money or friends or love or health or any of those things.
Only your
except
own limitation.
for the conversation in
Mm.
the head. Yeah. And so then what's really weird is that like you move forward and like you tell people like I'm the best at this and they come, or that you tell people I was popular at the last school and they come, that people very much like they underestimate the incantations you can do on yourself. Like when you start your morning with either cool, let's do this, I'm excited, or depression again, money again, pay bills again, because like it makes a complete difference to the energy that you put out to others. And then there's a situation that'll happen like where it could be like your marketing, it could be your friendships, or it could be anything. People will give you a very wide berth and stay the heck away from you if you're giving off an energy that they're just not into. And so then you could go like, oh, well, nobody has any money and clients aren't ready to change because they're giving you a wide berth because they don't know what on earth you're on. So it's like that when you're clear about how you help people, and when you're kind of clear about who you are and you're using the right self-talk, it's kind of weird how much like your own life can change. The same as like,
Yeah.
everybody out there wants a friend. Everybody out there wants a problem fixed. Everybody out there wants a dollar.
Everybody needs
Everybody out there
something.
wants something.
Mm, totally.
Yeah, we're just human.
And so for you,
And we're all just sort of,
Scott, did you know that you wanted to go into clinical hypnotherapy like in high school? Like, was that like your main direction, or was there, some of us have these kind of, critical events, and those tipping point events that
mm.
kind of push us over the edge and going, yeah, this is it, this is for me.
um, I didn't know that I wanted to be a clinical hypnotherapist in high school because I didn't know what that was in high school.
Yeah.
But I did know that I wanted to study hypnosis and study psychology because like you see all these people that have issues that they want help with, and then
Mm.
you see this really cool tool like where someone clicks, someone's head drops, and we can get into your subconscious and reprogram your brain, like with the Matrix, going that if you kind of become conscious and detach from all the minutia of things that don't matter, you can
Yeah.
actually rise above it. Like Coyote, like walking off the cliff, he's in air and he keeps walking. It's only when he looks down that the spell is broken, that all of his confidence drops. It's a cartoon. Like in physics, obviously you can't walk off a cliff, but it's a metaphor for that you can kind of do that in life with gain, you know, whatever feeling you want to have is it's going to come if you keep repeating it. And so that the same as like with depression, that nobody wakes up with depression. It takes them a second and a half to feel it because they get dressed in the thoughts. The same as it takes 12 seconds to feel happy, like when good news comes, because people sort of go like, oh, there's the bill, oh, there's a birthday card. They shove the birthday card off and they look back at the bills. If you can stop and take that birthday card, give yourself 12 seconds to feel it, you will actually then feel happy. If you give yourself 11 or less, you actually won't. And it's that much of a switch that people are discounting what they can do to themselves just by those small incantations of like basically someone gives you a compliment instead of like
Mm.
redirecting it necessarily. Like start by just like feeling it for a bit and be like, thank you. That's
And
really
like
nice.
realizing also, what's possible. Like so often, even this
Yeah.
past week, um, you ask the question, so what do you want to get out of this? What do you want to get out of this session? What do you want to get out of this program? And
Mm.
so many people will say, oh, I just want to be able to manage my depression better. I just want to be able to manage my anxiety better.
Mm.
So it's like, so I'm still having it and I still want it,
Mm.
but I just want to be able to cope better with it. So they don't have any concept
Yeah.
that can actually get rid of all of the symptoms of depression, of anxiety, of addiction, of all of
Yeah.
that. They just don't,
So
it's not there.
you got this magic or this metaphorical magic genie who'll grant you a wish.
Yeah.
And it's like you can waste the wish on, I want a reduced version of my pain, please.
Mm.
Um, it's funny, like even in there's a style of thinking, even like in computer games, where you look for the things that really matter and you've got to ignore the things that don't. Like it's kind of like that, how to get up to the next level board game or something. You kind of pay attention to the real needle movers, and you notice like how everyone else is sort of paying attention to the fluff. And so like this game I was just playing the other day, there's these 4 levels you get into, and it's like that there's all on level 4, like there's all this gold and all of these skills and all these things you can get. And so like the first thing I go for is to unlock those 4 levels. Once I'm at that 4th level, I can then come back to the first level and defeat the first 3 levels easily, like with the 4th level tools. And so
Mm.
besides just being that as a computer game, that's kind of life. that you can defeat your level 1 to 3 problems with level 4 tools. But how
Cool.
on earth is anybody ever gonna, like, people are, I think it's T. Harv Eker who says like you can be a person from level 0 to 10 and you've got like a level 5 problem. If you're a level 2 person, a level 5 problem is going to kill you. It's going to be very bad. But if
Well,
you're a level 10 person, you won't even,
yeah,
a level 8
Einstein
problem
said,
might, show up on your radar.
Einstein had that brilliant quote: the level of thinking that created the problem is not the level of thinking that can solve the problem. You need to go up
Yeah,
above the
absolutely.
thinking. Mm.
And I think this is a hard thing for people because there is two sides to us. Like one wants to use um, the intelligent, logical tools that we have that we've been talking about, and another side of us has like empathy that basically wants to save the entire planet and save everybody. But
Mm.
what seems to happen is that a lot of the people that you want to save are using a lot of negative self-talk. Only some of them are willing to change it. And this is a massively important distinction that if you focus too much on saving a person without consent, like without their permission to help them, you're going to waste your time and theirs because they don't want help.
Yeah,
That you don't have consent from them.
totally
That
true.
you can only help the people who give. But there's so many people. It's like what now, 7.6, I think, billion people. If you type it into Google, like it keeps going up. Um,
Mm.
But yeah, like if you, instead of like just putting out all the modalities going, like I have proficiencies in, NLP or business or marketing or hypnosis or whatever, there's three problems that people keep looking at because these are the things that keep causing them pain as like money, health, and relationships. If you just pick one of those three, you can become very, very good at the framework to fix it. And then you can get a reputation as being someone who fixes it. So I started with addiction and I've seen between 3 to 4 thousand smokers in the last 9 years, got them off cigarettes. And so instead of like advertising like I do everything, I advertised I did one thing.
Mm.
And from
I
that
think
one thing, not only did I get smokers,
that's critical for everyone on here to pick up on, and
mm,
hopefully you guys are taking notes while Scott what Scott speaks, because there are
mm,
some, he's dropping gems left, right, and center. But when you get really clear on that
mm,
one thing that you do really well, and not just get clear in terms of your marketing and your attraction, but also get clear and go in depth in terms of your learning and understanding of that problem as well.
yeah, and trust yourself in it. It's that you'll figure it out. Like what I think about, like when it comes to smoking, like well, I just went just all in. Like I spent, I think about $2,000 on flyers to begin with, and so I ended up like with 50,000 of these flyers that I still have most of,
Oh,
because then we found that the internet, the
yeah.
internet's a really good marketing tool. But yeah, like every now and then, like we'll go for a walk and like get some energy and sort of like deliver some flyers at the same time because why not? But it's when it comes to like smoking, this framework that I developed or stole, changed, made my own from experience and then developed, is that there's these three things that people need help with when getting off cigarettes. There's the chemical addiction,
Mm.
and just 3 days it's out of the body. Just that understanding that cigarettes don't cure the craving for a cigarette, they cause them.
Mm.
Because smokers don't, I mean, like, it's like they've just opened up the diary and they've scheduled in a new craving for the future. Non-smokers don't crave cigarettes. So smoking causes smoking addiction. So past like the 3 days it takes to get out of the body, habits is when you really find that the self-talk, like the don'ts that don't work. There's something I like to talk about, like with, Carl Barron, that Australian comedian,
Yes.
um, where he says, Australians, we don't answer questions. We answer the opposite of a question. And then you have to fill in all the gaps. Like, how are you? Yeah, not bad. It's like, not bad. What are you talking about? That's not how you are. That's how you're not.
True.
Or if there's a 5-year-old girl and it's really late, it's time for bed, you might say something like, sweet dreams, good night. But wouldn't it be inappropriate to say, don't have those nightmares that make you wet the bed about the zombies and vampires? And
Yeah.
then you go into, to make it worse, so inappropriate. You go into so much detail about the vampire and the zombie. Like it's big, it's fast, it has teeth. There's, I don't know, get as gross as you want. Don't do it. So like, because that, it's almost going to guarantee the girl's going to have nightmares. So would you call that evidence that the word don't didn't do a thing of good to help the rest of that bad sentence.
Doesn't register.
Yeah, like, do you want to go for a walk? Yeah, we're going to go for the walk. Oh, it's not far. Great, I'll put not far into my GPS and see if it comes up. Or, do you want to buy a car? Like, yeah, how much is it? Oh, it's not cheap. Great, I'll write you a check for not cheap. It's like, I can't bank that. That's cheap. But that's like, well, the first one was the 3 days it's out of the body. The second, the words we say, if people keep focusing on don't smoke, or, oh, I tried not to have a cigarette for an hour and it didn't work. Like, no, you tried not to have a cigarette for an hour and it did work. You didn't have a cigarette for an hour and then you had one. That went completely according to the terrible plan that you created. Let's make a better plan. And then the third one was to do with like these emotional needs. And non-smokers have these emotional needs too. Like we all have them, but smokers use cigarettes to satisfy them. So sometimes we want, these two spectrums. We want more people or less people around us. So like more people, like I'm lonely. Do you want to hang out with me? Do you want to have a cigarette with me or something? It's the topic. Or the introverted part, I can't think, go away, I've had enough, can you just leave me alone, I'm going to go have a cigarette. Non-smokers have to satisfy that introverted and extroverted stuff too. And then the other two is like this focus and reward. It's like the focus of like, well, how do I up my energy so that I can get through my big monster list of things to do for the day? And they'll be like, all right, cigarette, morning meeting with myself, thinking like, all right, well, what I've got to do that and that. Then I've got to like go to the shops so I can go home so I don't have to take my pajama pants off and put, normal pants back on and go back to the shops and buy broccoli. And so that they're smoking to kind of think through their list. And then there's like that reward cigarette, which is like the day's over or the week's over. And then people then sort of feel like, oh, well, you know what? I've given a lot. I've helped him. I've helped her. I've been a family person. I've been where's my treat? Where's my nest that I can fall backwards into to catch me? It's like, well, all right, the cigarette. And so that, again, like non-smokers have to deal with those emotions too. Like, what are your rewards or what are your clients' rewards that are healthy? And how do you jumpstart yourself? And what are your topics to be an extrovert? And what are your boundaries to be an introvert? So that nicotine addiction, the habit, and then the emotional battles. Like what I've found is that like to help someone with cigarettes, like that's a framework. So the problem is smoking and the framework is nicotine addiction, habit, emotion. When putting that out there, just hordes of people come because they can see the sense in it. And especially like when it comes to a funnel or something, when you unpack and you kind of go, instead of me going like, I'm the holder of all skills, I'm going to tailor my program to you, but not tell you a thing about me. It's that you can tailor your programs, but put a bit more out in the marketplace and kind of teach. It's like what you're doing. You're doing interviews, you're doing videos, you're doing networks, you're doing out there stuff.
This is
people
marketing.
Really.
This is marketing. And this
yeah.
is, and I think this is what a lot of therapists struggle with because they think that market is some sort of kind of abstract thing like over here. It's not here, and it's icky and it's salesy and it's kind of not aligned with views. But everything that we've spoken, understanding the needs of your clients, their pains, their frustrations, their language patterns. This is all marketing. And once I personally, when I started learning more about marketing, I was like, hang on a second, this is psychology. Like this isn't like
the same as hypnosis.
I've got a psychology degree. I'm like, this is psychology. I'm learning to understand people, what makes them tick. So I hope you guys are getting some value out of this, and please write yes if you are. And also, if you have any questions for Scott too, we'll ask Scott later on. But so thank you for coming on and having this discussion. So I just wanted to ask. So you mentioned that very early on and very quickly you developed a full-time practice and a full-time business. And so a lot of the people that are watching here are going to be asking you. How did you do it, Scott? I want to have all these. How did you do it?
It's funny.
What are the key things that I think you put down to your own success?
It's funny. I actually I just went out and asked people how to do it and copied what they said, and it sort of came together. Especially because I kept ignoring the people that are right to ignore. Or ignoring the sentences that are right to ignore. And what I found like almost more useful is like finding out how other people are not building their practices, because that's way more interesting. It's like that all I did, like people sort of think that, that
but true,
Yeah, it
unfortunately.
is. It's so true. Um, you're like, I put out an offer. It's like that. People, they'll want to outsource what they don't understand instead of outsourcing what they do understand. And so they'll
Mm.
be like, I'll pay someone to do everything. They get this web page designer, and then the web page designer has this standoff with them, going like, all right, what do you want in it? And they're like, oh, I don't know. I've just done a 2-year diploma or something on hypnotherapy. I
You,
don't know what to put on a web page.
that's so funny.
And so it's like, and I've been through, and then so I went to a web page designer, and they're like, well, what do you want in it? I'm like, I don't know, some hypnotherapy stuff. And they've gone, well, you've got to write it. I'm like, am I building this web page or you? And
Mm.
it's like, no one knows. And so then I went out and saw other hypnotherapists that were doing well, and I've gone, what did you guys do? And they're like, all right, step one, uh, niche. I'm like, what is niche? It sounds like a weird word. And they've gone, that's when instead of you going on about your skills, you go on about one problem that they have, which is either money, health, or relationships.
Mm.
Under the health, niching down into I did smoking. And then other hypnotherapists, I've heard them say this. Um, I'm so much more than just doing smoking. I want to help people with everything. And like, but unfortunately, nobody wants to buy help with everything. So you start with one thing, and then one thing, and then one. You can add things.
Mm.
If you're, that you're so much more than just like maybe just a quit smoking hypnotherapist, or just a relationship coach, or just anything.
Mm.
But you've got to start with one thing. It's like that. The bottleneck is like you've got to get something out there. And then the next thing I'm asking this
Yeah.
hypnotherapist who's been out there for a long time, what's the next thing besides niching? He's like, well, do you have a program? I'm like, no, I just do hypnosis. Do you want to come and buy some hypnosis off me for $200 an hour? Like, no, why would I want to do that? Or for $400 for $500, would you like to get off the cigarettes? The program is the 2 sessions of hypnotherapy plus the 2-disc CD set. Almost everybody quits by the end of the first session. It could be like $395 or $1495, and plus comes with a lifetime guarantee, or comes up with the follow-up sessions. And so there's like these. You can either say 3 or 6 things you've got to say in an offer. So like one could be name, steps, price, and that's 3. So what's the name of your thing? What are the steps? What's going to happen? And how much does it cost? Or if you did like a 6-1 version, it could be the name of your program, what they get, like how many sessions, the bonuses, which could be, there's a CD set or something, standard
Audience.
result, like what's going to happen, the price, and then the no-brainer inclusion or guarantee at the end. And that's kind of what I do on the phone, like with, when, I figured out how to get, phone numbers and stuff, people like going like, I want to do it, I want to do it, I want to do it. And then when it comes to booking people in, people worry too much about like selling hypnosis and going, now, are you motivated enough? And do you feel this enough and that enough? And you're like, well, you're not selling a 20K business course where you actually need to do a discovery call with people. You're doing like a $400 or $500 like smoking program, or $1,000 weight loss program. People just want to book in because they're not seeing it as $1,000 weight loss program. They're seeing it as 5 sessions at 200. So they just want to make an
Yeah.
appointment as part of a program. And so my
So
first scripts that I had like on
make
the
it
phone,
simple for. Mm.
yeah. So it was kind of funny, like when someone rang me up and said, is that place where you do the quit smoking? I'm like, yeah. And then they've gone, so can you tell me about it? I'm like, yeah. And so I opened up my textbooks and I've gone, there's Sigmund Freud and Milton Erickson and all these people, and there's a conscious, the subconscious, there's Raz. And we went on for 45 minutes. And they've gone, that's really interesting. Like, I'm interested in giving up smoking. Can I call you back? Because you've given me so much to think about. I'm like, aren't you going to book in? They're like, I think I need to go away and think about all the stuff you just said. I'm like, why didn't I book in? And so then eventually I came up with this different phone script called Appointment Program Pause, which is they ring up, is that place where you do the quit smoking? Yeah. Are you calling to make an appointment? And they're like, oh, first, can you tell me what it's about? I'm like, yeah. So the program is like those 6 things I was talking about, where I go, the program is the 2 sessions of hypnotherapy plus a 2-disc CD set. Almost everybody quits by the end of the first session. It's $395. Plus includes everything, including like the lifetime guarantee, which means you can come back free of charge for life. And they're like, oh, cool. Can I book in, please? And then like, I was getting 40 a week, and then became like a lecturer at the Academy of Hypnotic Science. And even in Australia, we've got the,
What I'm hearing is that you actually did less. That system to
mm,
get more clients in terms of effort, you did less sales,
absolutely.
less marketing, less everything, and just simplified.
Yeah, it's like kind of the marketing is put out a series of videos that have problem framework, and people go, I have the problem. It hasn't gone away yet. I'll watch your video. I trust you. I'm watching more of your stuff. To the point, then you go like, put out an offer. And you're like, cool, here's the offer. All right, well, I'll book in. And that's like, for bigger programs, like, 5K, 10, 20K. And for smaller ones, absolutely just kind of put out a program. Like, people are pretty hot already when it comes to smoking. They've decided they're going to book in for a quit smoking hypnotherapist, and they haven't even touched a computer yet. So they're already going to book in, maybe with you, maybe not with you. It's not that they're not ready to book in. It's just that, do you make sense? And so that when they ask you, how does hypnosis work? Oh, well, or like, how do you do hypnosis? And that joke of going, I do it very well. Thank you for asking. When they go like, how do you do hypnosis? Like, oh, well, first, step 1, 2, 3, 4, zillion, whatever it is, steps. They're not asking that. So like when they're ringing up to book in and they're going, how do you do hypnosis? You got to think about like the question. They're actually asking, how do I book in? Yeah. And so when they go, how do you do hypnosis? Oh, well, it's a program of 2 sessions of hypnotherapy plus 2 disc CD set plus, it's $395, covers everything, including the lifetime guarantee, and that's kind of it. And then like you run ads and then people come. And then, because like in Australia, there's like the Australian Hypnotherapist Association, the AHA, that I'm a member of. Yeah. When I went to the Academy of Hypnotic Science, that's changed hands a few times now. I've been always really good friends with the owners. I went to put on a seminar, and I've never done a seminar or workshop before. And I called this one, How to Become an Expert Quit Smoking Hypnotherapist. And so a lot of the lecturers that I'd studied with, they were my heroes, and they're so intelligent, super switched on. And they were getting like, 6 or 12 people off this marketing list of the Academy of Hypnotic Science to their events. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'll get 2 people. And then the AHA came out like a few weeks before my quit smoking program, and they did a quit smoking program seminar, and they got like 30 or 40 people to their events. And I'm like, they're the AHA at the Academy of Hypnotic Science, like the peak body at the time. I'm like, so now I'm probably going to get 0 people coming to my events. I got 80 at my first one. Oh. The room holds 40, which means we had to do it twice of the first couple of emails. And then we just kept running it. And then I did like another one, instead of calling it How to Become an Expert Quit Smoking Hypnotherapist, I called it How to Become an Expert Weight Loss Hypnotherapist. And then I was teaching people about the headlines, because one of my friends who, she's paid me to write ads and things, and she does like, well over $300,000 or $400,000 a year. But no one was sort of coming to her events. She had a headline that didn't make any sense at the time. And I was asking her, what does it mean? And she's like, well, you know what, you've been to my event, you know what it's about. I'm like, yeah, but I don't get the headline. It was something that was just kind of how to become better, or, how to become fabulous or something. And I'm like, what is it? It's like, oh, it's a business workshop. I'm like, but is it? So, and she's gone, but in my first year, I made $165,000 in hypnotherapy without a web page. And I'm going, well, there's your headline. And she's like, well, can you write it for me? Like, yeah. So we put her ad out, and we called it How I Made My First 165K in Hypnotherapy in my first year without a web page. And then she started getting those numbers too. And it's because the headline needs to make sense. And then, so like people, they're into like, there's a problem and a framework. So when you're putting out a funnel, whether you're using YouTube or ClickFunnels or Kajabi or Lead Pages or any of the tools, or somebody's building it for you on WordPress, or whatever buttons on whatever program, whatever app you're using to get your stuff out there, the idea is to get your stuff out there, but take every opportunity to have a headline that makes sense. How to fix problem with framework. And you do that and people will come. There are times where I've seen people stuff this up, and it can happen. And technically they've followed what you've said, but it can look bad. Like people will give them a wide berth because they've got the wrong energy, or it comes as aggressive, or that they're
too fluffy.
They've shared, yeah, or like say that people, when they get desperate, they take desperate actions and they do desperate measures. And so if you've got a post that no one cares about, sharing it in 50 million groups is not going to improve that post.
Yeah.
And if anything, it just tells the Facebook algorithm, this is a spam account, and then nothing you do for the rest of your life on that account will work. You may as well start, pack up and start somewhere else on the planet or something. It's like, don't be a spammer. Plant little seeds and make it a blockbuster. Give it love. Be clear about what you're doing, and tell people, like, put your heart on the line and say, I'm an expert at this and I've claimed this space. and wait for like, 4 or 5 people to kind of like it or comment on it. Give them a call to action. Say, type I'm in to get the free ebook, free video, free, don't call it a funnel, free training series. That's the thing, like, just because like it's a funnel, you don't tell your customers, come join my marketing funnel so that you can pay me at the end. That's your business knowledge. Like, that's between you and your accountant and your marketer. To them, it's a free video course that they don't know at the end that they have an option to go further with you, because people tend to want to. Like, the journey is over, they want more.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
if you put something, yeah, you put something out that people care about, you should boost your winners, not your losers. So if you put something out that everybody loves, share that in 50 million groups. If you put
Mm.
something out that everybody ignores, you ignore it too. Let it go. You put out a post, it was a terrible post. That doesn't mean anything about you as a person. I put out terrible posts that no one cares about. I move on. Then you
Mm.
put out a good post that's just better. And you're like, I can see what was wrong with the old one. If you put 5 grand of advertising money behind a bad ad, um,
Yeah.
it's like that you can bore people to death, um, and put $5,000 worth of force behind an ad that no one cares about, and now just more people can collectively not care about it together.
Mm.
Um, or if you find something that you can put out that people would join you for free, it's like that now. I turn up to birthday parties and people go, "Oh, this is Scott, the quit smoking hypnotherapist," like known as the quit. And then one person books in for that, another person at the party. Like, I've got this friend who's Greek, has massive family, massive birthday parties, and so like, she's like got me 10 leads from her party. Most people don't have 10 people at a party, but she has like 100 people at a party, and that's how she can get me
Yeah.
10 leads. One person booked in for smoking, another two like bought a marketing programming from, and so it's kind of, you put something out that can do that, then you're ready to shove it out there online because it's tested. You're like, I've got a clear framework to fix a problem that people have.
Mm.
People are spending money all of the time, and it's kind of weird. Like, we're running out of trees and clean drinking water and stuff like that. But we're not running out of humans and money. Like, there's more money on humans on the planet than ever before. But the Pareto principle, like what they call the 80-20 rule, the
Yeah.
distribution of money and power is uneven. And we could talk about it as like, there's an element of social injustice, like homeless people that they seem not to have the tools to be able to get back up again. But also a lot of the people that are doing best in the industry, because of the Pareto principle in hypnotherapy, something like 20% of the people will earn 80% of the money, or something like more like 1% of the people will earn almost all of the money. And I've been lucky to be one of those people, because my stuff makes sense. While a lot of other people, they'll say like, I'm working on it, I'm working on it. It's like
Mm.
they're shuffling the chairs on the Titanic or something, like some useless fluffy task. I've been working on my logo for 6 months or waiting for someone to get back to me. And we're going, here's two metrics.
The stuff that doesn't.
Um, mm, Here's two metrics to actually pay attention to. How many new leads have you got, and how many offers are out there? Like, do you have an offer for a program?
Yeah.
Is it weight loss? Is it anxiety? Is it depression? And are you sending traffic to it? Um, if you're doing something that's like 5 to 20K, you need to be pitching people on the phone with discovery calls. If you're doing something that's, between 500 to maybe $2,000, really hone in on one offer and build everything that you've got online back to that offer. So you've got one offer page. We call it the HOC, the headline offer call to action. So it's like the quit smoking, how to quit smoking or something. The program is the sessions of hypnotherapy, call to action. Enter your name, email address, phone number, and we'll call you to book you in.
Beautiful.
So you've got one page for one offer. And then every traffic source you have, every bit of marketing you have, every video you do, every whatever you have gets fed into that offer, if it's something just between 500 to 2,000. But if you've got something between 5 to 20,000, you add a step, which is that or you add 2 steps. Everything goes into your funnel. You then give them free training, and then you get them onto a phone call, and then you pitch them, and then they can join your 20K program.
Because
But most people,
yeah, will they need, so those high ticket items, will they need more convincing or more love?
it's almost like a form of respect. Like 20K is it's a sizable investment for people, and they feel that they have the right to talk to you, and I think that they're right. That you've got to not just get excited and so like, I can help you, I can do this thing for you, and like enroll you in my program and everything. but they want to be listened to. Everybody wants to be listened to.
Yeah, and understood.
Your first job in any job is to actually reduce the anxiety of the other person. Like it's we tend to think it's like getting onto the steps. It's like if you could be a PT or a quit smoking hypnotherapist or a business coach or whatever it is. The client's nervous because for starters, they don't know if it'll work. They don't know if they're investing their time properly. They're taking a chance on you and they're giving you that much trust. And it's an honor and it's a privilege. And so especially for like a 20 grand thing, it's like, if there's a $20 ebook, there's not a whole bunch of trust that's needed. It's like that if you're clever with words and you put out a good headline, people come and get it. Especially like if you're on points. But if you're selling something between 5 and 20K, people want to talk to you and ask you questions. And often the answer is just yes.
Reassuring.
Or sometimes it's no. Like there'll be, like if someone says like, oh, so I can join and like, there's no commitment and I don't have to stay if I don't want to. You're like, no, that's not what we're offering. You commit or you don't with this program because like there's limited spots. And if they go, oh, but I'm not ready, like that's fine, but we can't let you in. There's standards. You need to do the work. Yeah, because this stuff it's like the same as that. You wouldn't teach 7 or 8 figure, like you wouldn't teach $1 million or $10 million marketing strategies to someone who's not ready for it, because like you have to commit for that. You really have to commit. Like that computer game I was talking about, like where you go to level 4. That's kind of like that when you start pitching 20K programs, you can have like a $100,000 funnel on 5 funnels. Sorry, 5 sales. And then you can put together a marketing team and you can have so it's kind of only some people have the proficiencies to do those styles of things. So if you're someone who really wants to be at that level, it's like, well, then you're going to have to be a team leader. You're going to have to understand numbers. You're going to have to manage your health. You're going to have healthy boundaries and tell people, no, I'm sorry, this is my time. Go solve it yourself. And then be ready to solve it the next day. You need to make quick decisions. But then if you're someone who's kind of either doing hobby hypnotherapy or just 20 clients a week or something, you pretty much just have a funnel that puts people in and build it once.
So,
just keep putting it out there.
A bit more about how we would do that, because there are a lot of people, in this group who are just starting out, who are transitioning, from 9 to 5 work to hypnotherapy or therapy or coaching full time, and who want to have their therapy business as their main income. So what are those, what's the bridge there to make it, easy and doable, and I guess the path of least resistance?
Yeah, well, there's a process. I've got this ebook called How to Build a 6-Figure Hypnotherapy Funnel. I've sold it for $60 or something, but I can give it to your list for free if you just type I'm in, and that'll go into further depth. But basically what we do, the first step we have is that this might sound a bit weird, but this is the one you can't skip. And I don't want to kind of dress it up as being the money step, but it's something that if you don't do this, you won't get the money later. You've got to talk to your ideal market and find out what words they use. If you can talk to, take someone to lunch and find out what words they use, what's the negative self-talk, the same as we say, that we use positive self-talk on ourselves. That doesn't mean that negative self-talk doesn't have value. It actually has incredible marketing value. That if you can listen to what's the negative stuff that the other person's saying who wants help, write it down. That can become your ideal headline. And so there's 2 main things that you want to do, give away something for free to build your database. Another thing you want to do is offer people things, put out an offer that has a name, steps, and price. If you want to expand that to 3 steps, or there's an acronym we've got called ROVR, so ROVOR. So the 2 R's, there's reach and revenue. Reach is keep putting stuff out and getting people to follow you. The R for revenue is it's the money that you get. The OVO in the middle, the OVO, something that I learned from Brendan Mashard called opt-in value offer. So opt-in is that after the reach, the opt-ins, you've got to get people to do things take an action before you give them something for free. So the same as like,
Take
think
steps
about,
towards it.
yeah. So let's like say, with the same as this example of putting out the ebook, the six-figure funnel ebook, we're not giving it away to people. We're actually giving it to them in exchange for telling us that they want it.
Mm,
There's a huge difference,
yeah.
because like if it's a comment onto this post and they say I'm in, another thing is like that it leads to an opt-in page that you put in your details before you get the book. There's a strategy behind it. So
Yeah.
there's the opt-in. The value is then the ebook, and plus like the videos that you can click on through it to see it, or like whatever their funnel is. And then the offer is when you go, now come and join my six-figure funnel program.
Mm.
So the same as like when it comes to selling hypnotherapy. So that's like, as a business coach, I'm using the same method for business coach selling that as selling hypnotherapy. It's the rover. So put out stuff about your topic, because
Yeah.
people want problem solved. So if you're a smoking expert, put out stuff about being a smoking expert, and then they then have to like opt in or say I'm in or something in order to get your video or ebook. And
Mm.
then once they're on your database, you can then make them an offer to your program that has a name, steps, and price. Then get them on the phone call and do appointment program pause. Oh, you wanted to. So like when I put out my one of my first ebooks called How to Quit Smoking in Under 90 Minutes, the second I'd hit it, it must have just been good timing that someone said I'm in straight away. They opted in. I called them within a few minutes, and a mother and daughter booked in for like $400 each quit smoking program. So within the first 10 minutes of putting up my first ebook, I booked in $800 worth of business. Um, Not to say that that's absolutely going to happen to the next person who does it, but just thinking about the opportunity is
It's
that like
possible.
what I did, yeah, I gave something that had a headline topic, like, the how to be, either that seminar that I did, how to become an expert quit smoking hypnotherapist. Anybody should be able to tell me what that seminar is about, even if you didn't go, just because you know the headline.
Mm.
The same as the ebook that I put out called How to Quit Smoking in Under 90 Minutes. Anybody should be able to tell me roughly what that ebook's about, even if you haven't read it, just because of the headline.
Yeah.
And that's really important, because if you put out something called Everything, if you put out an ebook called the last ultimate psychology book of everything that the Grand Wizard downloaded into my brain that you can have,
I
no
will
one
free
wants
you from
that.
all your limiting beliefs.
Yeah. And like, can I, yeah, change your childhood beliefs? It's like, can I heal your wounds? It's like, well, you haven't really established a problem. And so like marketing needs a problem and a framework. So the framework is how to fix it. It's like with the smoking, it's like nicotine addiction, habit, and emotional battle. The problem is smoking, and then there's like a 3-step framework. To cure marijuana, I add an extra step where I talk about consistency, because people who smoke marijuana are not the same person from one hour to the next.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of people think that marijuana smokers are unintelligent, and it's not true. But what marijuana does is that it makes people incredibly inconsistent. It separates them from like what they were doing and thinking about and going on about just an hour ago, and moves them into a different realm, including all of the promises and all of the commitments they made. So what we do is we help them with like the chemical, the habit, the emotional battle, and we manage the consistency by we keep reminding them of what they said 2 minutes ago, because they understood it, they agreed with it, and now their mind has moved on to the same question again, worded differently. And you just have to remind them, like, no, remember 2 seconds ago we talked about how when you relax tonight, you're going to watch TV and have a glass of water and you're going to play computer games. And they go like, oh, okay, well then when I go home tonight, does that mean I'm smoking marijuana? No, we literally just covered this. So you've got to tell marijuana addicts when you're helping them, you
It's
have to
so true.
say, we literally, yeah, we have literally just covered this in the last 3 minutes, but that's
Mm.
okay. And then you'll be loving, you'll be patient, and we'll cover it again.
Yeah.
Tonight, no, you won't be smoking marijuana. Remember how we just talked about you're going to have a glass of water and play computer games and watch TV?
Meet them
That's
where
what
they're
you'll be doing
at.
tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
And so to meet a marijuana smoker where they're at, it's a moving target, and you have to keep that moving target consistent. Wherever they move to, keep
Mm.
reminding them of the same framework. Um, Whatever solution you've come up with for them, you've just got to keep reminding them. Whereas like cigarette smokers are more likely just to kind of like go with it.
It's
Um,
almost like it's almost like the hero's journey. It's like you if
mm,
you've had experience working with people, then you know where they're starting off and you know where they're ending up, and that journey in between includes your therapy. So if you can
mm,
map that out for yourself, then you're going to get some really good language and some really good um, a really good kind of step by step system in terms of what your client goes through from
mm,
start to finish.
absolutely. I love the hero's journey.
Yeah,
Such a, like Joseph Campbell was a genius. It's like the things that make the any movie or TV show or something like most attractive or most interesting is that you need to have a character that has a desire and a flaw. Like say somebody wants a girlfriend but they're a jerk. Already you've got a desire and a flaw. And the marketing's kind of the same. And then the next step of the hero's journey is the refusal. They refuse to change. But then the pain of not changing gets so big during the refusal, then the educator or the event horizon comes along, then they get to go into world two, which is the proving ground, or where they get to, they've been hurt so significantly that they've lost the house, or if it's, the Wizard of Oz, they've turned up somewhere else,
yeah,
or it's like the Matrix, he's gone somewhere else, or it's like Alice in Wonderland, she's gone down a hole, or Harry Potter, that they've gone into the other world, or Hunger Games, that she's gone into the Hunger Games, and so that's world two. It's that like each of those character has a desire, but they're having to learn something about themselves in order to overcome it. And then it's kind of like the Scooby Doo thing of like you pull the mask off, like, and it was always some like real estate developer trying to scare people away being a ghost or something. The problem wasn't what we thought it was. The problem was fear, or like
yeah.
when a dog's
And,
barking out a window,
and the solution,
they're territorial.
the solution's not
The
what
dog
you
thinks,
want it to.
yeah, the dog thinks it needs to bite the postman,
Mm.
but what it needs is our soothing help. It needs us to soothe the dog and go, it's okay, it's okay. So like generally, like the big bad in the hero's journey is not the bear's going to eat you or the saber-toothed tiger is going to come and kill you or something, um, or that it's not that you're ugly and unlovable and that the world is broken, you'll never get money again, and it's not that like any of those things we tend to think it is. It's usually anxiety. It's usually that like it's the fear of the fear creating real problems. Um, and we help people to lower their anxiety first, because nobody can really follow your steps while they're in a
That's
panic attack going, you help me right now because I've got bills to pay and the doctor says I'm going to die tomorrow, and you're like, all right,
yeah.
okay.
It's not teaching and learning, is it? Mm.
Mm. So it's like that. I love like Eminem's lyrics of like, I'm rocking the table while they're operating. um, you can't help the patient while they're on the table having a spasm. It's like what a defibrillator does is it stops the heart from having a spasm. It's not pumping blood. It's just doing this. You stop the heart, and then the brain sends the next single signal to say, and now beat, and now beat, and
Mm.
now beat. So pretty much it's like interrupting a tantrum is one of the first steps. It's like when people say, I don't have time to start a business. I love this sentence. It's a real mind bend of how much time don't you have? And they're like, what? I mean, like, how long does it take to start a business versus how much time do you have and what's the deficit?
Mm.
Does it take 7 hours and you only have six? So, and they're like, no, I don't work it out like that. I work it out differently. Like, or you just haven't worked it out. It's like that you're just in anxiety. 10 years will pass. Nothing will change for you because you got to relax and, read the ebook, go through the steps, um, put out a problem and framework that people want to come to you to get fixed because you're an expert. Trust that you can
Yeah.
help people. Do the appointment program pause, reduce their anxiety, take them through a framework, and then get referrals from them and rinse and
Mm.
repeat, and like give it passion, give it energy, and ignore the things that's safe to ignore. Like when someone says be careful, that's content-free anxiety advice. Like be careful. Like what are you telling me to do? Be careful.
That
Do you want
what?
me to panic? Would that yeah, like it's be careful is not advice. Be careful is just like ooh. So it's like more so it's kind of like give me instructions to follow, and I will follow them. But be careful is not advice. It's a lack of advice. It's
It's
non-specific.
it's it's I don't trust you. That's what that is. I don't.
Yeah, and they don't trust themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trust is like positive self-talk. you can do this 100%, even if your stomach and chest are kind of feeling things. Don't wrestle with the feelings in the body. Actually, just notice it. Make your stomach your best friend and feel, like the, below the sternum, like where there's, where the ribs separate. That's kind of like closer to where the stomach is than like down lower, the intestines, where the gut is. When people are hungry, they often feel, between where the ribs separate, they feel their stomach. But when they're in emotional distress, the intestines are kind of doing some weird stuff.
Yeah.
So when people are worried about, like, that there's no money out there, or that people aren't ready to book in, or they're worried they can't help a client, they could also notice that their neck hurts, their breathing is difficult, and their gut is going kind of a little bit crazy. And you go, well, what if you just, instead of trying to like make your intestines feel better, stop and feel your intestines, like just stop and put your hand on it. Just kind of just stop to start with and just feel it, and just notice, like, all right, I'm going through tension, not stress, because that's a response to the tension. That's like the negative self-talk, but it's not negative self-talk to kind of notice that the muscles are tight, the breathing had become shallow, the stomach stopped going in and out for the breath, and then just feel it, accept it. And then, like, there's this beauty and kind of like this, let it all fade away. Now come and follow the steps. Now that, the anxiety's gone down,
Yeah.
now you can, pick a problem, a niche, talk about a framework. If you don't know one, ask an expert, read the ones from my ebooks. It's all there. Like, everything's been figured out before. It's like how Richard Branson can just like go out and start business after business, because he just knows the formula. Like, he knows how to get to level 4 of the computer game. The same as like that, to help people, that you've got to manage 3-ish rough areas to really build something that you really, really love. Like, one is kind of like, notice tension, because that's going to be a sign. Sometimes your body can get sick. That's not negative self-talk. That's just kind of, sometimes it can happen. So like, one is do that. Just check in with yourself. Then don't awfulize it. Don't see it as worse than what it is. Don't kind of go like, oh, well, there's some tension in the body. Oh my God, that's awful. It's like, no, there's just some tension in the body. All right, cool, fine. There's some tension in the body. The breathing's gone a bit shallow. All right, fine. I'll notice it, and don't wrestle with it. The second one is like, literally have, like, your self-talk needs to be positive. It's like where Arnold Schwarzenegger said that, once you realize the power of your thoughts, you can never afford a negative thought ever again. He became, Mr. Universe, the bodybuilder, and then like one of the 2 biggest Hollywood stars at the time, and then the Governor. And he didn't do that through negative self-talk. He did that by seeing himself first as this big man, like maybe steroids at the time, because it was like, the 70s, 80s, 90s. Definitely, I think there was something going on. But like, but a lot of people that were doing it didn't become the governor of California. Like, that takes self-talk, which is positive. And the third, just like, do steps. And when you're doing steps towards like your goal, don't do 3 days worth in one day. That's silly. You'll burn out. Don't do 1% of a day's work per day. You won't keep pace. But just trust yourself to be in flow and size things. It's like, keep your extrovert and introvert tasks away from each other. Don't, it's like a mechanic shouldn't be working on a car while they're on the desk serving a customer. And if they can, get one person on the desk serving customers while they can focus on the car, it's a lot more efficient. That it's that they don't just do twice as much work because there's 2 of them. They do like 10 times as much work, because they're keeping their extroverted and introverted energies away from each other. Don't write an ebook while doing a sales call.
So
Like, don't
compartmentalize your tasks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to come up with a framework, you've got to block everything out and focus and lock yourself in a room and turn your phone off and make sure there's not like, a thread of material that's going to distract you, or a rash that you're going to, go, oh, that's interesting, and I scratch that for 2 hours.
So we're getting
It's that, focus.
good feedback here. Thank you for everyone who's posted really great value here. There's gold here. Thanks, guys. Wow, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm in. So already
The ebook?
this stuff is resonating, and hopefully you can maybe put in a post or a link to where we can get that ebook, and also
Yep.
some of the stuff that you've spoken about here today. some people here will be ready to just rock and roll with it and go, yeah, cool, all right, let's implement. And for others,
Mm.
may have to sit on it a bit, or may actually feel a little bit more confused as to what to do. So you know, and for those people who are wanting a little bit more help, and a little bit more guidance, and a little bit, you know, perhaps a little bit more hand holding, Scott, where can they find you, and you know, how can they get in touch with you so you can guide them further, and you know, and they can get to get more
Mm.
insight into your expertise and what you do.
In the ebook, it has the explanation of exactly the program we put together to help people to build a $100,000 funnel in 3 weeks from start to finish, from getting to know the client, from going through the funnel, building the 4 video types, one that's kind of like the teach indoctrination, the myth buster, because there's multiple messages out there you're competing with, the case study, because it's social proof, and that stories actually change minds, not stats.
Yeah.
And then the sales off, because you need a program, and it talks you through exactly how to do those. And then it goes through to how to promote it, how to put it out there. And in there, there's also like a link to join our program where we help you, so that if you're not a tech head,
Yeah.
the web pages are built for you. You literally, like, this
Oh,
is the cool thing. Like, there's the link that tells you about the program has a video that explains the whole program, that talks about literally what you're going to be doing day by day over the 15 days. And so, like, the first week is when you're building your scripts, not even videos. You're just doing your scripts, which will become videos later. Week 2 is when you build then the videos, and then the web pages are built for you around them, plus the payment buttons and all those things we help you with. And then week 3 is getting it out there and showing you how to build a self-maximizing Facebook group and system like that. It's like that we've got one group, an addiction group, that we've got 900 people joined it and opted in to see it. And we didn't really work on promoting it. We did one Facebook video to promote, you know, the first 80 people who joined to begin with. They're going like, oh, this addiction training is going to be in there. But once those 80 people joined, the ebooks and the training and the video that was in there basically attracted more people. One of our videos had 22,000 views organically without putting money on it, because people kept sharing it. They're like, I want your ebook, I want your ebook. So you've got to create good stuff. So like, if you're producing a video, produce a good video. It's like literally still like, what's the most trustworthy thing is like that quality is still in charge.
yeah.
So if you, once you've typed them in, it'll take you through it. You can contact us through the ebook. You can see all of our program information through the ebook. You can see like how to do it yourself through the ebook. If you're someone who doesn't join our program, the steps are still there in the ebook that you can get for free by typing I'm in. Just to kind of see like, well, what is my logical step 1, 2, 3, 4? Step 1, type I'm in, and you will get the ebook. Read it, follow the steps, relax, have fun. I don't know if you're a tea drinker or something, that's like, do something kind of about your environment, sort of get it, whether it's out to the park or the cafe. I love cafes. And it's kind of interesting, like where like 17 different cafes like ask you if you want your usual.
I must really love
like,
cafe.
yeah, I'm like, I've got an office. Do I spend much time in it? I'm like, I see clients in the office and then I get out and go to a cafe.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
That's awesome.
type I'm in, get
Yeah.
the ebook. If you are a hypnotherapist, or, you know, if you want to build a client base, if you want to know like what's the logical steps, if you're someone who's going, I want to, but I don't know how to word the offer. I don't know how to put out exactly what I've got. You know, I understand that you need a problem and a framework, but that's fine for you to say, but how do you do it? The ebook, absolutely, I promise, takes you step by step and tells you a little bit about a story that motivated me, because you know, like when you were asking about how, what got me into it. And about 15, 16 months ago, there's something happened like where I went through a separation, and it was a big life change. And it's one of those things that I didn't see coming. Maybe I could have, should have, or something, didn't. And it has a lot of like what I had to do to learn to get myself back on my feet. So like, not only building these funnels and programs, but you know, how I did it during a time where it was the worst possible time to do anything. Yet it still worked brilliantly. All this money just started coming through once like the separation happened, because the funnels and stuff, like people just kept joining our thing. And so there's like a lot of like mental health things that we had to do in order to, like with my brother
Yeah.
and I, who my brother builds the web pages for the students, um, just kind of giving yourself permission to talk about the things that are bothering you. Because I know, like, for you guys listening as well, like you've potentially maybe been through, if not full PTSD or something, you've probably been through something, or else you wouldn't be attracted to this industry. Or you just have massive empathy and you know somebody who's been through something massive, that you wouldn't be in this industry unless that it started with an origin story of disaster of some kinds. Or else, why would you seek something like psychology and hypnotherapy
Yeah.
unless something was kind of, not right with the world and you saw it and something was perhaps not right with your life? And so people are going through stuff, like you could be going through stuff, and that doesn't make you weird. It makes you very normal. And it doesn't mean that you can't do this, but it means that you should really, do the self-care steps, journal, write your thoughts, because writing is like this internal monologue, but external on paper. There's very little difference between writing and thinking, except that like when you write negative stuff, you tend to get it out.
Mm.
It tends not to come up as often. When you write positive stuff, it tends to clarify it. So just writing is such a good thing. Keep that pen moving. So if you're going through a trauma, it could be money, health, and relationships, because they're the three niches that people want help with.
Yeah.
You're probably going through something, money or health or relationship related. Writing will help all three of those. The first job with yourself as well is to reduce anxiety. Don't
Mm.
panic, like in the Hitchhiker's Guide, what they say.
Yeah.
Don't panic, um, because it doesn't help. That um, the bigger the phobia, the bigger the panic, the more urgently that we demand that the panic goes away. Or else, it's like, well, or else what? I don't know. Or else I'll make it worse. I'm like, well, that's not going to help.
Mm.
It's like, yeah, but I'm feeling really. It's like, yeah, you are. So it's time to sort of like stop and feel your gut, feel your intestines. Don't wrestle with it. Don't try to make the feeling go away too soon. But just stop and kind of acknowledge that you're a human, flesh and blood.
and
Um,
and
you
that
go
there
through
are,
things.
just like we are there to help and support our clients. I think it's,
Yeah.
it's it's fantastic, and it's essential that we also recognise within ourselves that there are other people there to help and support us, no matter what challenge we're going through, whether it be a business challenge, whether it be a personal challenge, a relationship challenge, or whatever
Mm,
it is, that there are people there to help support and nurture your growth, and to champion you to get to the other side. And and which is obviously the one of the many reasons why I invited you to this interview, and to share how you champion and nurture and guide people to overcome their challenges, to build their business, and also
mm,
find that internal sense of satisfaction in knowing that they're doing the right thing for themselves. They know they're on purpose and they're on task. So a big
mm.
big thank you to you, Scott, and and thank you to everyone who's watching. And if you want some, if you want to get some of Scott's stuff, type in I'm in here, and he'll send in post a link to get his stuff, and so you can find out a little bit more about what's involved there. Um, Before we wrap up, Scott, is there any kind of any final words, or any kind of final words of encouragement that you want to share in this group of therapists and coaches?
Mm. Well, thank you for watching. It's really awesome because it is a privilege, when people tune in, not just kind of like watch a video and like put their thumb over your face, swipe, but they
Yeah.
actually stop and like listen and really kind of, but literally, listen to the words you say in the first 15 seconds when you wake up. That's
Mm.
going to change everything. What are you saying to yourself in the first 15 seconds? Because like this is stuff that I found, that if the alarm goes off and you jump out of bed, it doesn't matter like what you feel like. That's not a time to feel your intestines. It's the first 15 seconds. Leave your intestines alone for the first 15 seconds. Hop out of bed into the shower, because people, they get dressed in their thoughts. That could be anxiety, depression, or it could be confidence. It's a choice in the first 15 seconds. Later in the day, feel your gut, check out if you need a break because you're human. But the first 15 seconds is not about how you feel and being kind to yourself. It's about being confident with yourself. Because
Mm.
if you break that rule, like if you say, oh, in the first 15 seconds of the day, your success is no longer like, 100%. It's starting to become more of a 50-50 chance. and then it drops off from there. The first 15 seconds of your day, you are the tabula rasa. You are the blank slate, ready to go, and you have an opportunity to make this an awesome one. The same as straight after this video. The first 15 seconds, what you're going to do straight after this, besides typing I'm in, if you haven't already, downloading the ebook, watching it, join a program, is check out your self-talk of like, what are you saying to yourself in the first 15 seconds? And would you want your kids saying that to themselves? And if not, well, it's like, well, say something nice, say something encouraging, saying something
Yeah.
certain to yourself. It's like, you know, I deserve love, I deserve abundance, I deserve health. And then talk about a goal. Like say, you know, what do you want? Is it 6 figures in hypnotherapy? Is it 20 clients a week? Is it to find a date? You're putting energy out, and the words you say, remember like the high school thing, like, you know, I wasn't popular, and I went to the next school and told the next school I wasn't popular at the previous one, and the next one's going, all right, guess you're not the popular one. And they went to the next one and said like, oh, I hope people leave me alone at this school because like I was the most popular kid. And they're like, oh, could I be your friend? They're just kids. Like I was a kid. We're putting a foot forward. Is it our best? Is it not our best foot? We're all putting a foot forward. We're all making a first impression. If you can be fun, like don't take everything so seriously, like do serious actions. Acting seriously is not the same as seriously acting. Do the steps, type them in, join the thing, but be fun.
There's already a serious therapist.
Yeah.
We don't need to be them.
Yeah, put out an ad that goes, I'm the serious therapist that, you know, I think actually a lot of people do that. Yeah, how many people basically are, I'm the fun one. I'm the one where you get to make jokes with.
Yeah.
You get to enjoy the
I'm the one that's
process.
human. Yeah, that's human who has flaws
Yeah.
like everybody
Crack a
else.
joke. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like everybody
Yes.
else. Cool. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you so much,
Everyone
Scott,
watching.
for coming on.
No
And I
worries.
encourage everyone to grab Scott's stuff, to learn as much as you can. You know, to learn from those people who have, you know, gone before us, to learn their skills, their techniques, and evolve and grow. You know, find out what works and what resonates with you. So thank you so much, Scott, for your wisdom, your expertise, and for paving the way.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Beautiful. Take care and bye for now.
Bye.